Hi, and welcome to Conversations and Cocktails. Today's guest is Rachel Novak. And Rachel is an amazing young woman who is taking her love of extreme water sports and created a nonprofit to educate children on ocean cleanliness. And it's We of the Sea. And this is an amazing interview, and you are going to learn so much. If you like my interview today, I think you will like many of the interviews I've done of powerful women around the Pacific Northwest area. Push the button that says follow me. I have never been able to find the button. I don't know. Find it for me. Tell me where it's at. Hi, and welcome to Conversations and Cocktails. Today's guest is Rachel Novak, and she is the founder of We of the Sea and vlogger for Sailing Siren. And she chose a dark and stormy. And as we get to know her, we know she is dark and stormy. So it's a perfect drink.
Oh,
cheers.
Cheers. Thank you.
So I met Rachel 2 years ago when my eldest son Joshua had a head injury, and he was healing for about a year after. It was a traumatic brain injury in my home, and Rachel came and hung out with him and made my youngest son dinner and babysat, and so we got to know each other like during that time, but we haven't spent much time together. So this is really going to be a fun interview because I don't know much about what she's up to. So it's exciting, exciting. So you're in Seattle today because you were being interviewed by ABC, right?
By King 5.
King 5, I'm sorry.
No worries.
By King 5
Yeah.
for your We of the Sea, is that correct?
Yes, that's
Yes.
correct.
So tell me about We of the Sea.
Well, so We of the Sea, the goal of it, it's a nonprofit that I'm in the process of forming, and the goal is to use diving education and art to be able to get people more interested in ocean conservation. I'm a firm believer that the people who care most about our oceans are the people that are in it and see it firsthand, and so I want to be able to increase accessibility to both art that is underwater themed and then diving education to give people that personal connection and make them care more.
Nice. Okay, so now diving would be part of it. I get that, right? Would you be would you do lessons and as part of the nonprofit?
Yeah, so for the last 5 months, I've been in the Philippines, and in that 5 months, I've been training to, one, become a freediving instructor, and then also to become a mermaid instructor. And so mermaiding is a really, really fun way that increases accessibility to freediving and the ocean, and it's a really good photo-friendly and just friend-friendly way to get people more in the water and more interested in the arts. So there's actually a really big Seattle mermaid community here. There's over 300 it's like the Seattle Mer Pod.
Where are you people? I had a mermaid march. I did a mermaid march around Green Lake. And I like advertised it because I have friends who are Pisces, and I was like, I really want to, I looked for the mermaid parade. I couldn't, they have no more mermaid parade in West Seattle. So I was like, we need the MERS to get together and bond with each other because I have friends who have tails and the whole thing, right? That traveled with their tails to go swimming in warmer climates.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm going to make a mermaid march at Green Lake because it's a nice, quick, you could see each other no matter what, no matter where you're at, you're running late, you could see the MERS going around, right? I thought. 12 of us showed up. 12. There's 300 of you in Seattle and you didn't come to my mermaid march. Help me fix that for next year, okay?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll
But I totally used Joshua as I kept telling people, of course I'm doing this. I have a merchild. And do you remember, did you see him in the big clamshell with his tail? Yes. So that was kind of my cover photo, my hello, yes, and sitting and flipping his tail. So next year, will you help me with that?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Look at that. MERS, Seattle, in June, Green Lake. Okay, keep going. Sorry. Okay, I want to know too, what is this, the mermaid diving skill? Like, explain that. What does that look like? Because that's fascinating to me.
Okay. Yeah, no, for mermaid instruction, like, it's really fun. I'm going to be giving people a few introductory concepts to freediving just to increase your breath hold. But at the same time, you can't increase the breath hold without teaching the safety side of it. And so being able to teach rescue techniques. Like as a mer, you're probably not going to be getting to the levels where you're more likely to black out, but it's an important safety mechanism to be teaching. And then on top of that, it's a really good way to lead into freediving. So I am a freediving instructor. I can now hold my breath for over 5 minutes, and I can dive to 147 feet.
147 feet.
Yeah.
So we were like, Josh, that can't be right. We were trying to like 120 feet. We were trying to figure 147 feet, 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Well, I need a high five. I'm sorry. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
But yeah, and that's fairly extreme because I wanted to go from, I went through something called the Zero to Hero program, where you go from having no freediving experience all the way to becoming an instructor. And that was a course of 5 months where you're training with people who are at your level, and then you're also training with people who are competitive level freedivers, instructors, instructor trainers. So you really, when you're doing it every day for 5 months, you're really immersed in the culture and you're always learning. So I wanted to be able to share some of that with other people. Like freediving is a very accessible way to get people in the water. You just need your mask, your fins, and a snorkel, and some people only just need a mask. And so it's a really fun and accessible way to just get people out and into the water. And then, yeah, so being able to teach both the breath hold extension side, but also the safety side.
Nice,
Yeah.
nice. So so freediving is like with just a mask, and the the mermaid diving kind of thing, they're with it restricts your legs together, right? So you're not, so there's an added, restriction.
It's an added comfort thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Well, that's another thing that you're training in. So I do have the monofins, so people can practice wearing a monofin, and at most you go 5 meters, so around 15 feet at most, depending on the pool. So you start with what's at the surface, and you start with being comfortable. So if a mermaid gets tired, what do? They just flip onto their back. It's a really easy way to keep the airway extended and open, and then at the same time get a little bit of a break, because it can sometimes be tiring to swim in a mermaid tail. But yeah, so being able to teach, just different coping mechanisms, getting people comfortable with a mermaid tail, and then from there giving them more skills. So being able to swim underwater, do mermaid bubbles, bubble kisses, bubble rings. So, just fun things that you can do, or something called a grab and glide, where 2 mermaids are swimming towards each other and they grab each other's arms and flip each other away, and it's like this really pretty fun thing. So yeah, mermaiding can be anything from something that you do in a pool with your friends to full-on video shoots in the ocean. And both of those are, I've had the opportunity to get to mermaid all along that spectrum, and it's been super amazing.
Nice, that's beautiful. Okay, so we have the sea. So the free diving, the traveling, the mermaid swimming. Now tell me, the mermaiding is definitely art form. Is there other parts of art? Are there other mediums in the art that you'll be using as well to bring in education?
Yeah, absolutely. So freediving is a very photo-friendly sport, as is mermaiding. Everybody likes photos of mermaids. But I also, on the website for We of the Sea, I have a community arts gallery. So I'm inviting people with their underwater photography to be able to post their photos up online and have sort of a community arts gallery that people can look through and have stories of, this is why I got into freediving, this is why I got into scuba diving. So just sharing your art along with a personal connection as to why you're interested in the ocean. And why other people should be interested as well. As far as some other mediums, this is more for our younger generation. One of the first projects for We of the Sea here in the Seattle area and in the greater Pacific Northwest is the launching of a coloring contest. One of the fellow mermaids in the community, Jillian, is an amazing graphic designer. She designed a coloring sheet for us that I actually got to use in the Philippines with some local Filipino kids. It has this beautiful underwater theme, and then it also has one thing that I can do to save the oceans is. And so we have some really fun prizes along with, mermaid courses, or the idea is to be able to get divers and mermaids into somebody's birthday party or into somebody's school. And then on top of that, we've got a bunch of prizes. The entry's free, and it's just a way to get people thinking about things that they can do to help save the ocean.
I love that. I love that. Okay, now Sailing Siren. Tell me, what is that as you vlog? That's your YouTube channel is Sailing Siren, right? And what? I have not watched it. I haven't watched it.
That's okay.
So I'm excited to hear about that. What exactly are you talking about in your YouTube channel, Sailing Siren? What are you doing?
Well, so in addition to being a mermaid and a freediver and a scuba diver, I'm also a sailor, and I've done some sailboat deliveries. That's also a side job of mine. But the idea was this project of mine 5 months ago. When I first started sailing, I had 2 days of sailing experience, and I hopped on a boat, and my ex and I started sailing for Mexico. And freediving was super, super useful because you'd be pulling yourself down the anchor line to check that the anchor was holding. You'd be cleaning the bottom of the boat. All of that was on breath hold. If there was a net that caught on the sailboat, you had to go get that too. So back then, I could only equalize to maybe 20 feet at most. And this was a goal to go from having no formal freediving experience all the way to instructor and just being able to document the process all along the way. I've seen the pass rates for a level 1 course for freediving as high as 50%, and it's higher in some places, but one of the biggest reasons why is equalizing. And so I wanted to be able to share both the good things and all of the successes, but also some of the hardships and how I got through the freediving, or some of the hardships around the freediving. So that has been the entirety of the vlog. So it goes through my level 1, level 2, level 3 course, my freediving competition, some photo and video shoots, some beautiful places to go freediving in the Philippines, and some sailing and freediving as well. So it's all about underwater sailing and freediving content, as well as a little bit of touch of ocean conservation in there without being too preachy.
Nice, nice. So to me, it's really fascinating, all these water and extreme sport things and the art that you do, because you're actually, like, you're a pharmacist.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're the person, if I went to Bartell's or to the hospital or wherever to get some pills,
you're the pharmacist.
And I have to talk to somebody about the side effects. You're the one that I talk to and give me information about my medications.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
wow.
I don't know. It's been fun, but it's been kind of a running joke among me and my friends that I don't do anything full time. I mean, I don't even breathe full time.
That's true.
So I've been really fortunate to have a job at a pharmacy that they jokingly call me their seasonal pharmacist. So I come back here and I work and I save up a little bit, and then I go off somewhere and I freedive. And so hopefully this year it'll probably be Dahab or Bali. So those are the 2 places that I'm curious about exploring next.
Nice, nice.
Yeah.
So Joshua, he was in Bali, but did he dive in Bali? I can't remember.
I think he was scuba diving.
Because after his head injury, they went out to West Seattle, and there were people around, and he went to see how far down, because it's once you have that big crack in your skull, they don't want you diving anymore. And he was, of course, like you know, oh yeah, nobody's going to tell me what to do.
Well, so how did that work? Because that'd be really interesting to hear. So they actually did pressure tests on his skull? Did he go in depth?
He went in depth, down, down, down. He and Johnson, you've met Johnson? Yeah. My other son. So, and there was a class that they knew the instructor nearby, and Joshua and Johnson did together, you know, eye to eye with the hand. They had one moment of panic, but then they were able, because Josh, of course, wants to dive wherever he goes, and what they did, Vietnam, Bali, and Thailand, I think. Thailand. Oh, and Japan and China. Yeah. But they were snowboarding over that area. But yeah. So
I would love to visit him in Bali. That would have been fun. He was going to meet up with me in the Philippines, but it didn't work out. So.
Yeah, their timing and such. Yeah, that happens. Yeah, that happens.
Yeah.
Okay, so how did you find out that you loved water and the oceans? Not just pool water, but you love water, clearly. And how did you get there?
Well, so the funny thing is, I had a little vlog project a long time ago. I was just finishing pharmacy school, and I was kind of completely in pharmacy school. Had a dream job after I had graduated, and I had a boyfriend that I had been dating for a while, and then they had a hiring freeze. And at the time, since I was kind of a workaholic because of school, my partner at the time was saying, hey, I don't know if I want to be together. We don't really have much of a relationship. You're working all the time. And I was like, okay, cool. So one thing that I'll do is, rather than feeling sorry for myself, I'm going to create a quarter life bucket list and start knocking everything off within 1 year. And scuba diving was on that. And so I got my scuba diving certification. And from there, I actually looked up photos on Instagram, because that's what you start to do nowadays, and I saw a professional mermaid hashtag. And since I'm also a fire dancer, I figured that this was a really interesting way to diversify my portfolio, was to become a professional mermaid. And so from there it kind of snowballed. So from being a mermaid, I wanted to become a better mermaid, so I became a freediver.
Nice. So now I think my understanding is you're also an aerialist, right?
I dabble in it. So I've dabbled in aerial. If you want to go for all the elements, I'm a skydiver as well.
Nice.
But yeah, so I do fire dancing, fire eating, stilt walking, mermaiding, and then I've also worked as a stunt performer. So.
And this is all after pharmaceutical school, after your schooling.
Yeah.
After you just, like, boyfriend broke up with you because you were too busy.
No, I got the boyfriend back.
Oh, you got the boyfriend back. Okay.
You start doing interesting things, and boyfriend's like, oh, hey, cool. So,
okay.
yeah.
You got to keep the boyfriend for a little while.
Yeah.
And then you also, but in that crisis, you also realized, like, oh, I am just a workaholic at this point, and I want more for my life.
Well, I think it's more... I guess that's always been my coping mechanism when, because I was a total nerd in high school. But one of the things that I have always used as a coping mechanism is when you don't feel accepted, or when you are just going through a hardship, one of the best and most positive ways that you can do to get out of it is to make yourself a better person. And so everything that I do now is with the goal of getting good enough at it to get paid for it, so I can spend all the time doing all the things that I love and being able to support myself.
Nice. Congratulations. Okay, that's awesome. That's awesome. And
Yeah.
so how long has it been since you graduated, since we're using that point?
Probably 2014.
2014, so only 5 years.
Yeah.
So in
I've been a pharmacist for 5 years. That's crazy.
So in 5 years, you started skydiving, freediving, sailing, fire juggling, fire eating, stilt walking,
Yeah,
aerialist.
fire dancing has been my biggest thing for the longest time. I've been doing that for 13 years now. That's something that I started a while ago.
Okay.
But yeah, from everything else, so a lot of the extreme sports, so skydiving, scuba diving, freediving, sailing, rock climbing, yeah, more of the extreme sports.
And this is like right up Joshua's alley, right?
Yeah.
When he was in high school, he he was a competitive climber, right?
Yeah,
Did he tell you that?
Yeah.
So you're just like, no wonder you guys get along so well. It's like, and of course he was a dancer too, so doing some of that burlesque stuff, and I think it's awesome that you guys attracted each other into each other's lives, and it makes sense that you would.
Yeah, it's cool doing the extreme sports, and then like the performance side, I'm like, oh, we should totally be friends.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. And I'm grateful because, look, not only are you here now, and my son has a lot of respect for you as a person, but when he was healing, you were there. It's healing from a traumatic head injury is difficult and isolating, right? Because the thought, your brain's not quite the same, and to have friends come around and support him and love him, even in that place of healing from a traumatic brain injury, is really important. And so that always means a lot to me. The people that came around and were there for him are really important to me. Yeah.
Well, he deserves it. He's a rad guy.
He's a rad guy, yep. So now it sounds like you had kind of the hardship of this boyfriend breaking up with you is what propelled you into this extreme sports, which also now as an outcome is creating this nonprofit, We of the Sea, helping clean the oceans and save our planet because our oceans are so important. And what would you say are some of the stumbling blocks? I mean, I hear that you go extreme to overcome your kind of sadness and, feeling of being left out or awkward or whatever those words were you used. If there's people watching who say, wow, 5 years, I can't do that. There's always somebody that's like, she's so good, she's so great, she can do it, I can't. But there must have been some roadblocks along the way, or areas of fear, or things that you had to overcome. What are some of those areas that have happened since your graduation and where you're at 5 years later, founding a nonprofit and being, you know, a master at many extreme sports?
Oh, well, I don't know if one, I'm a master, and two, yeah, I don't know. Well, I guess as far as some of the things that I've had to overcome, yeah, relationships, they teach you a lot. Like, so yeah, getting over that, it was a very hard relationship, but at the same time, the reason why we stuck it out so long is because I learned so much from it. And it's this continual journey to always be learning. And so, yeah, eventually we ended up going our separate ways, and, you know, no hard feelings in that regard. But as far as some of the other things, I also had to suffer a head injury. And that was after pharmacy school. And after you get out of pharmacy school, you're, you know, over 150 grand in debt, and you're like, oh, now I can't be a pharmacist because my brain is broken. And, well, yeah, so coming out of that head injury, one of the things that I was thinking about in the hospital was, how am I going to be a pharmacist if I'm not all cognitively there? And that was a big fear of mine when I came out. Fortunately, I did have a very speedy recovery. I was out kayaking. I was out of the hospital in 3 days and kayaking a week later for my 26th birthday.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so it was a very beautiful trip to be able to have. But yeah, so that was definitely another challenge. As Josh had issues with it, I was worried that I wasn't going to be able to dive. And there's a lot of fear around diving, but in pharmacy school you learn how quickly bones heal. And so I kind of took it, I shouldn't probably be talking about that, my doctors can't hear this, but I basically said...
Don't tell the doctors.
Exactly. Well, I basically led the interview with the doctor because I knew that I was going to be fine based off of the medical knowledge that I had of myself. The doctor herself had a fear of diving and a fear of water, and I wasn't going to let that get in my way. And so based off of my knowledge, I was able to go diving too. So yeah, that was one thing. And then I guess the most interesting part about starting a nonprofit is the learning process. There are a lot of amazing resources here in Washington for nonprofits. So for a good several months, I've been listening to all the webinars, and there's a lot of online resources as well. But yeah, just the biggest challenge for me with this is having a passion and then convincing other people that it's important enough for them to care about as well. And so, yeah, it's one thing when you have something that you're passionate about, but at the same time, like, how do you make other people passionate about it? And the best way to do that I'm thinking of is to get people involved and getting them interested so they can see it for themselves rather than me telling them that they should care about it. It comes intrinsically.
Right. So you're using, instead of the preaching method, which is where you know, we naturally go, right? Sometimes you should look, the earth, the water, the oceans. You're being inclusive. So you're kind of overcoming what I'm hearing you say is that you're overcoming first your lack of knowledge in a nonprofit by education. And it's all free online, is that correct? So you're just listening to podcasts, or, I mean, you're doing different things to educate yourself on creating a nonprofit. And then the other piece is getting from being the exclusive preacher to the inclusive educator. Is that what I'm hearing you say?
Yeah, that's correct. The goal within the next year is to start getting mermaids and divers into schools to talk about our fishy friends. And a lot of that content is coming from my diving and some of the connections that I've made in the diving community. So a lot of the video and photo footage that we would be sharing with the kids is all from stuff that we've personally seen and can personally talk about. So that would be for the kids. And then on top of that, like, being able to get people of all ages more interested in the oceans by, yeah, getting them in the ocean and giving them access. So reducing the barriers to access to get people in the ocean. And then, yeah, there's a little bit of the education side. There are a few, you know, things that people can do, like small steps that you can do, even if you don't want to be in the ocean, that you can do to help save the ocean. So, you know, giving people those little factoids and just, you know, just putting it out there for them.
Nice, nice. Okay, so every woman that I interview that is in your seat gets this question. As a female, and from your own personal culture of origin, how has that helped you or hurt you get to where you're at today?
Well, as a female, especially in the performance community, there, especially as a mermaid, there is a semblance of sensuality, and it is an aesthetic thing as well. And as a performer, that's something that is a strength of yours. And so I've been able to use the performance side and being able to cultivate that side to use it as sort of a platform for which to be able to share a message for ocean conservation. So yeah, like being able to use performance. For example, I had the opportunity to perform at a festival called Paradiso this year. It's in the Gorge Amphitheater. And the production crew was very supportive of me coming on as a mermaid, but being able to share a little bit about ocean conservation. So anybody that wanted pictures with a pretty mermaid also got pictures with a mermaid holding an ocean conservation fact. For example, did you know that by 2050 there's going to be more plastic in the ocean than fish by weight?
Wow.
So stuff like that. And then tips on, using coral-friendly sunscreens when you're going on vacation. So there are things that I'm able to use my art to be able to share a little bit about ocean conservation. And from art, I can also share the athletic side of it by getting people into freediving.
Nice. So you feel like as a female, because you get to be the pretty mermaid, that has helped you advance your cause. Now, do you feel like the family that you've come from is supportive and has helped in, or did it hurt? Like, did you have to overcome anything from your family of origin, or were they the supportive family and like, it doesn't really matter if you're a girl or a boy, you get out there and do what you want to do and go do extreme sports. It doesn't matter if you're a girl. Because, I mean, really, extreme sports, when I was growing up especially, and even, I have 5 children, and it's my boys that, all of them climbed. All of them rock climbed. But really, the boys are the extreme sport people, not the girls. My youngest daughter has said, you took me camping and did so many outdoor activities with me as a child, I don't want to camp or to backpack the earth or anything. I just want to be in a hotel. So your family of origin, how did that help you, or by doing did you do the opposite, like as my youngest daughter did, the opposite, like, no, I'm only hotel friendly now?
Well, it's really funny that you bring that up, because this trip to the Philippines was kind of a way for me to reconnect with my origin, and it kind of hit some things home that made me realize some of the interactions that I had between my mom and I. One, I'm the baby of the family, so my mom is super, super protective of me. But 2, there is an element of femininity that is in Filipino culture. And I was able to see a little bit of that side and why she was a little bit more protective of me and why girls need to be a little bit less extreme. But then on the other side, my dad, working on his hot rods and windsurfing, and he was like, yeah, just let her be my little daredevil, it's fine. And so it was really nice having that balance between the two. And really, my parents were very supportive of me coming into myself. And yeah, my mom worried a lot, but at the same time, she's mellowed out a lot because she's realized that I've come out pretty much unscathed, and everything that I get myself into, I can get myself out of. And yeah, my dad's been super supportive along the way as well. So I'm really thankful to have such supportive parents to allow me to do all of these things.
Yeah, you go all the way. It's awesome. And congratulations on your new nonprofit coming up. And I am sure that a lot of people want to follow you and see what this thing is that you're doing and watch your art and your sports unfold. So how can people find you and watch you?
Okay, so first I'm going to talk about the nonprofit because we did spend a lot of time talking about that. The best way to get involved with that is www.weofthesea.org. I also have an Instagram that isn't super well maintained yet, so go to the website. That coloring contest is happening right now, so share it with your friends and family because it's something that runs until September, and we are planning on doing this on a fairly regular basis. So this will be the inaugural one, and we'll see how it goes from there.
Nice.
As far as my personal content, so if you want to learn a little bit more about freediving, underwater art, underwater modeling, mermaiding, go to the Sailing Siren. That is on YouTube, and that is on Facebook, and that is also on Instagram. So if you look up Rachel Novak, RACHEL NOVAK, Freediver, you should be able to find that, or the Sailing Siren.
I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking time to be with me today and help me with my project. I'm almost closing this one out. So thank you. And I'm so grateful you got to be a part of it.
Oh, so, thank you so much for having me.
Here,
I really appreciate it.
Oh. Ciao, everybody. Support Rachel because she's fucking awesome.